Hello, Susan here. I want to share with you today some of the gorgeous products from the Ornate Garden Suite early release. These items will be available in the new annual catalog when it premieres on June the 3rd. But for right now, you have the opportunity to get them ahead of time and kind of get a jump start. Usually when we have really gorgeous things like this that premiere early, they get sold out. And then when the catalog comes, they're on back order and you have to wait a couple months. So I urge you to jump on the bandwagon and get some fun ones now. You can get individual products or you can order the whole shebang, get the entire suite for $136.75. And the individual items are the Ornate Thanks Bundle, the Ornate Style Bundle. This is the Thanks Bundle with the stamps and these border dies. The Style Bundle are these stamps with these gorgeous border dies. There is an embossing folder, 2 beautiful ribbons, and gilded gems. I am going to use some of these products today, and I will post in the comments the item numbers for the products that I used when the video is over. So this is the gorgeous card that we're going to do today. It says, if flowers were hugs, I'd send you 1,000. I thought this was extremely appropriate for my cheering up cards that I want to send out this time of year. I know we're all kind of stir crazy sitting at home, but hopefully that is going to be changing in the near future. But in the meantime, make sure you send cards out to people you love. Send them a smile. It will definitely make their day. Okay, so to get started, I started with a regular card base, 8.5 by 5.5, and I have scored it here at 4 1/4 and 2 1/8. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold it. And I'm going to burnish my score line a little bit. And then my front, normally this would be our card, but we're going to give it a little bit of a fun fold. So I scored it at 2 1/8, which is right in the middle, and we're going to fold it backwards. All right, so I'm going to do both sides. It's much easier to assemble cards if they lay flat for you. Much easier. Okay, so now I am going to use this gorgeous paper. It's not necessarily a match, but it doesn't really matter in this case. These are the different designer papers that come with this suite. So this is the one we're using today. This is one of my favorites, and this is all I have left of it. So, you know, I'm going to have to switch to a new paper. This is another one that is gorgeous with gold foiling. And then this is the flip side. And I made a really pretty one with this last night. So I believe I'll be showcasing that in the near future. Daisies. Love daisies. They remind me of Grandma. And then this is a pretty, almost a wallpaper-like pattern that's on the flip side of that. And we have 3 other ones that are gorgeous with gold foiling. So this can be used as is, or you can take a sponge or a brayer and you can put color on it wherever you want. This is the flip side. Pretty little soft, springy yellow background with all our tiny little flowers. Here's another beautiful gold and white foil background. And more daisies. I'm loving these daisies. They are tops on my list. One more. This one is beautiful gold foiling with a lovely swirly filigree on mint macaron. And this is the flip side. Now I did a card yesterday using that flip side because honestly that was my least favorite in all the papers. So I challenged myself, well, let's take something I don't particularly care for and see what I can do with it and come out with something I really love. And I ended up with a gorgeous card that I just adored. And this was the finished product. Oops. This was the finished product, this sweet little thank you card and a little matching envelope. So I really liked that and I was really happy with my results. Okay, we are going to start by putting our designer paper on. Give me a second because apparently my glue has grown legs. Ooh, sorry about that. That is never fun. things seem to walk a lot around here. Liquid Tombow is typically my glue of choice because it holds so well, and a little dab will do ya, which means it goes a long way, a lot of bang for your buck. And the added benefit of when you're using liquid glue, you have wiggle room to move it if you don't get it on there straight, which you don't have the luxury of when you're using a tape of some sort. All right. You always want to make sure you kind of hold it down firm if you're rubbing, because especially using glue, it'd be very easy if you didn't hold this, do that on this side, and the whole thing could go cattywampus. Okay, so we are putting that on the large inside portion. This DSP is 5 1/4 by 4, and then this little strip of DSP is 5 1/4 by 1 7/8, giving it a 1/4 inch border for my 2 1/8 inch panel. All right, so this is down all nice and snug. Now, these are the stamp sets that I'm going to be using. I'm going to use Abstract Impressions, which is a retiring set. So if you don't have this in your collection, now is a really good time to get it. And Ornate Style, which is one of the suite bundles that is available in the new Ornate Garden Suite. So on this one, we're actually only going to use this pretty little corner filigree. It's got a lot of options, but that's what we're going to use. And we're going to use 2 sentiments out of this one. So I'm going to start with finishing layering in my inside. So to do that, I'm going to get out my soft suede ink, and I just cleaned it off. If you get fuzzies on your ink pad, if you just take a clean lint roller and whoosh, whoosh, wipe over it a couple times, works wonders. Just be sure you lay that inky lint roller on a piece of scrap so it's not going to make a mess, because boy, they're icky when you do that. Okay, so now I'm just gonna give myself some pretty little corners. This is going to be the piece in my card where I can write a note, sign my name, and throw the block on the floor. That ever happened to you? It's frustrating. Every time it wants to land rubber side down, so that you got fuzz on it, because of course there's cat fur everywhere in my house, and ink on the floor. All right, so I am going to put this piece in, and see, since they're all 5 1/4 inches long, they line up beautifully. So when the card is laid out flat, you've got all these beautiful 1/4 inch borders, and they all line up nice. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the front panel done. Now, I'm using a couple different dies. I am going to use the Ornate Layers dies, and we're going to use these 2 pieces, which create absolutely stunning borders, as you're about to see. This is the border from the smaller one, and the big one is not identical in pattern, but it still gives that gorgeous filigree look, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. But there are quite a few different dies in here. You have long rectangular borders. You have small insert pieces. You've got small decorative strips. This is a stitched rectangle. Really, really gorgeous. These are my favorite out of the entire suite already. We're also going to bring in the detailed bands dies. This item is in the annual catalog, and it is returning in the new catalog, so you're not going to lose out on this one. And it has some beautiful dies. It's got a few sentiment shapes, this one and this one, and these other things cut out flowers or leaves, and then this gives you beautiful borders and trims that you can use. So it looks like a faux ribbon running around your card, which is always really nice to have. Okay, so moving this out of the way, we're going to start with, I've already cut this one out, okay, and I went ahead and cut this out, although normally when I'm stamping it at home, I prefer to stamp first and then cut, but I am going to be really brave, and see if I can get this on here straight. All right, so I'm using my grid paper. I always use grid paper when I stamp. It is such a wonderful help. It helps me get things straight. It helps me get things even if I'm going from one side to the other. And I got a beautiful image. Yay! I always love that. Now I always take my stamp and stamp off a little bit on my scrap before I clean it with whatever cleaning pad or source that I'm using. It just helps you not have so much ink that gums up your pad, and then you don't have to wash it as much. So I'm just going to flat glue my sentiment in the middle of this guy. And because it's liquid glue, see, I can squish it around to make sure that I'm even. So I'm looking at these two pieces and, okay, squish. Okay, so now it's stuck. And this piece is going to go on here just like this. I'm going to take my dimensionals and I'm going to place them on the back here, on the solid part, obviously. And let's see if that's about right. So when I do it, I'm going to go, okay, I want it about here. And then I'm going to check here. Make sure that your dimensionals aren't sticking out. If they're sticking out like this, even a little bit, your card is going to stick shut and you're going to have a mess. So usually I have to check. I rarely get them perfectly in the right spot the first time. This was just for you, I guess. Okay, so now I'm gonna, see, once again, see, I'm squaring my card up every time I go to put something on while I position this. So I'm positioning it so when this is all closed up, it looks like this is in the center of my card. And I always double check. If perchance I'd had one sticking out, I would have been able to quickly peel it up, or you can take your paper snips and push it in, or even snip a little edge of it off if you should need to do that. Okay, so this is the bulk of my card. Now, I need this beautiful little piece here. So to do that, I'm going to move this, and it's always a good idea to close your ink pads. Otherwise, at the most inopportune moment, you're going to get a finger in it, or your cardstock's going to land in it, or whatever other mess. So I'm going to use my Big Shot. Stampin' Us Up is introducing their new Stampin' Cut machine, and it will be premiering with this catalog. Obviously, I don't have that yet. The new Stampin' Die Cut machine will not be available as soon as it opens, but they said it should be within the first 2 or 3 months. So we're still waiting for it. So I'm going to put this on here because I want to cut out this whole thing. But you see, I'm not running it through straight this way or this way. Usually if I have long dies, I get a much better cut if I go through like this. For some reason, I've had some problems with the short ends of this not die cutting nicely. And I have found that if I put it at an angle, for some reason, it seems to make a big difference, and it helps. So this is going to go through. And just because I know it's really a lot of tiny little filigree, and my clear plate, you can see, has had a lot of love. If you have a plate that's brand new, it's going to give you better cutting, and I'm sorry for the camera shaking. Just noticed that. Okay, so I'm going to hang on to it and flip it over. I always do that to look and see if it looks like there's a spot that maybe didn't cut before I remove the die from the cardstock itself. And it looks like it cut really nicely. So that's just going to fall off. I'm going to get out my Big Shot brush, which is long retired, but I still have a couple of them that haven't been loved too much. Now I'm just going to keep taking this over here. There are new replacements that you can add to your little take your pick tool. I tend to call it the pokey tool. as does everyone in my classes. So when I say the pokey tool, they know what I mean. All right, so this is really good for getting all the little pieces out quickly, but should there be a straggler, you can easily poke them with this, or sometimes I will use it to pick up rhinestones or glue dots or other things like that. All right, is a little bit messy, but you know, my floor is constantly covered with this kind of stuff. All right, I'm gonna get my ink pad back out and ink up my sentiment. There's so much to love about you. Now, I want to position this on here so it's slightly above center, just for balance. I don't want it, sometimes if you put it dead center, it actually looks too low. So I want to go, that's about center. So I'm just going to lift it a little bit above there and go straight on. Give it a firm push. And then lift slowly. Ta-da! Beautiful image. Beautiful image. That's also something that if you wanted to use your Stamparatus, you could use that to line it up, and that would work quite well as also. All right, now I'm just going to get some glue on the back of here. I'm getting too close to the lens, sorry. Okay. What I should have done first is position this to check, but because I've already done this, I kind of know about that much border, because when you close it, you want to make sure that it's completely going to be covered. So since I've already made a couple of these, I know that that's about the border that I'm looking for. And that is the bulk of my card. Now, no card is finished without a little bit of bling, right? Of course. So, along with this beautiful suite are these stunning, stunning gilded gems. They are so, so, so pretty. Now, every single one of these I make is going to look different. You can see here where I put 3 gems here and 2 here on the flowers because that was where the flowers were. Here, I'm going to have to be a little bit more creative because my patterns are going to be different, but this big one is going to fit perfectly right there. And then I think I'm going to pull some little ones and go here, and how about here? Oh, the others came off so nice. There. Oh, perfect. It's going to work. All right, that is the same bottom actually that I have on this one. I didn't notice that. It is. Yay. But the top is going to be different. So I am going to have to kind of decide what I'm going to do for the top. This is a medium-sized one. Let's see how that sits there. I don't know. No, it's too close. All right, so this is going to be a create as you go project. I thought I had an idea where they were going to go before we started, but apparently I don't. So sometimes the creating process, it doesn't have to be dead center on a flower. I could just put it here. This seems a little high to me. And a little, well, that is a medium. So I think in this case, I'm just going to put them there. I've got a medium one and a small, and here I've got a large and 2 smalls. So you've got 3 different sizes to play with. And I've used actually quite a few of these, and I've done some take-home kits for some of my wonderful customers who have placed orders during the pandemic when we can't do live classes. So I've tried to make sure I send them little kits to make at home. So this is the end of our card. Really easy, really sweet, and it makes a great impression to anybody that you could send a smile to. So with that, I'll remind you, send someone a smile today, and I'll see you later. Bye.